guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So I'm back with my Victorian Parlour journal that I have been making, and I thought that I would come along and do the cover with you guys. I'm just going to raise my camera slightly. Still trying to get to grips with my camera setup. I know it's taking me forever, so I apologise for that. Obviously different people have different requirements, so sometimes people want it closer so they can see more detail, and obviously other people then, well, I mean, obviously everyone wants me to be in frame, but yeah, I seem to struggle with that as well. Anyway, so what I've got here is obviously my, you know, mainly completed now Victorian Parlour junk journal. And if you recall, I had covered the inside of the journal with this gorgeous black velvet. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have enough left to be able to do the outside as well. I mean, I'm saying that now, the chances are I will then find that I have got more things buried somewhere else that would have been absolutely fine. So I'm just lifting my tripod again. But yeah, I certainly can't find anything. So what I have brought along, obviously you can see this where I've stitched it, and I'm so rubbish that I have this big piece here. But what I have brought along in the first instance is I've got some burlap here, and what I'm going to do is just glue the burlap completely around the cover. So front and back is going to be, you know, completely and utterly covered with the burlap. And then I've brought along a whole bunch of other things that I will layer up on there and hopefully make it look, you know, glorious and gorgeous. I obviously have my black lace because this is a very black journal. And then what I've also done is, and again, I do apologise, I can't remember who suggested this, but I've printed some of my number tabs and some of my other little bits and pieces on fabric. And yeah, I may be able to incorporate them somewhere on the journal. I don't know whether I can. And again, I've got some of the inked inchies as well printed onto fabric. So, you know, remains to be seen whether or not I can incorporate those. But I've just brought them along for just in case. So first thing that I need to do, if I just clear this bunch of stuff off, is obviously stick my burlap down. As you can probably see, I mean, it's pretty screwed up. It's been, you know, loitering around in my cupboard for a long time. In fact, I didn't think I had any left. And yeah, it was only by fluke really that I just happened to suddenly find it buried deep within the realms of the cupboard. So what I'm going to do, I think, in the first instance, is just try and cut this down so as I have a more manageable piece to work with. So if I just cut this like that. Now, yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty screwed up and awful looking. But I mean, hopefully that's fine, because once I start gluing it, obviously, you know, that's where I can then straighten the creases out. So I don't know whether I've ever actually tried ironing burlap or hessian. I don't know whether, you know, I can't remember offhand whether I have or I haven't. So yeah, I mean, perhaps you could let me know below if you have tried it and how it works. I don't know whether the iron would kind of maybe damage or burn the hessian. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, I just can't remember whether I have ever tried ironing it or not. So I've got a bit of a straighter edge now to, you know, to use as my starting point, I guess. And so what I'm going to do now, let me just check that I've, oh no, I haven't cut it long enough, I don't think, to actually wrap it around the journal. I mean, this is where obviously measuring would come in pretty handy. Oh gosh, what a wally. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do, I think, is I might put it this way round with this gap here. I mean, I know this sounds very strange, but maybe at the front, because I'm going to be decorating the front with other things. I can always fill this in with an extra piece of hessian anyway. So, you know, if you are like me and don't bother measuring, and then you discover that you don't actually have enough to cover your item, all is not lost. It can all be, you know, you can get around it, let's just say. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut here, hopefully getting it sort of, you know, semi-straight, and certainly getting rid of all those extra frayed bits. Let me put them in the bin. Okay, and I'm just going to come up, oops, I've just got a bit more there. Just come up to the edge part like that. Now I am just wondering, I think what I might do for this journal is actually have my ribbon closure trapped underneath this fabric. So let me just grab I've got some black ribbon. Hold on guys, literally by some miracle I do know where that is, and yep, it's nice and easy to access. So okay, so I've got my ribbon here. So oops, you see what I was doing? Nearly put that on the wrong way, because I said, oh, I'm going to have this bit with the hole, I'm going to have at the front, and then I very nearly straight away, you know, no sooner had I started the video, nearly put it on the back. Right, okay. Oh, actually I have got quite a bit of extra fabric there, so I might just be able to do that after all, actually. Well, perhaps I have got enough. Do you know what? Perhaps I should actually start at the back and work my way round. Sorry, this is never a good start, is it, to be honest? When right at the beginning of the video you can't quite decide how you're doing things, but anyway, right, so I'm just cutting this down. Again, just mainly getting rid of those frayed edges. Okay. I mean, you can seal hessian or burlap, you can seal it with glue, which does, you know, sort of work, to be honest. You know, it's quite a good way to actually stop it fraying. The only thing is, it does make it stiff, you know, in my experience anyway. I mean, I guess it probably depends what you're sealing it with. Now, I can't even remember now whether I have only used PVA or whether it was Mod Podge. I think it must have been Mod Podge, actually. So yeah, I mean, you can, sorry, I'm just getting my Fabri-Tac here going. So okay, so I'm just going to glue this down here right along at the edge, and again here, and I'm just going to go onto that fabric as well, like that. So hopefully I'm kind of capturing both the envelope and the fabric. Okay, like that, and I'm just going to glue that down as well where there's the excess fabric there. So I'm just starting in chunks. I quite like, you know, doing it in stages, to be honest, when I'm gluing fabric down. Okay, so hopefully sort of straighten those creases out a little bit. And I mean, it's not really too big a deal because we're going to probably be covering this mainly with lace anyway. All I'm really doing with the hessian or the burlap is, you know, getting my foundation really. So just like that. Okay, and so now I'm just going to flip this over like that so that I can get in here. So again, just taking my fabric glue, like that. Okay. And you just want to be quite generous with it really, because, you know, you want to glue it down pretty well, don't you? So I'll just put quite a bit around like that. Okay. Then just stretch my burlap then over there like that. Okay, and then I can turn the journal over so as we now come to the front. So now, as you can see, I mean, I've actually not got very much of a corner there anyway, so let me just cut these frays off. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I didn't trap my ribbon in. Oh, honestly, what second time already, and I've probably only been filming for like 10 minutes. I'm already saying what a wally for the second time. So I'm going to peel up my hessian, and I'm going to just apply some glue to the ribbon like that, and I'm just going to tuck it in. Hopefully that's around about the middle of that page. I mean, again, I just kind of judge it by eye. I don't, you know, I'm not going to measure or anything like that. And as we see with the hessian, that's not necessarily the best thing to do. Yep. Measuring sometimes would have been advantageous, probably, to say the least, but never mind. Right. So here, I'm just going to trim this little section here, which is just overhanging. So I'm just going to trim that down. Like that. Okay, now obviously once this is all glued down, I'm going to go round the cover and, you know, neaten everything up, so please don't worry about it too much. So I'm just cutting off again, because my ribbon's on a spool, so I'm just cutting off my ribbon for the front, and I've now got a loop here. And, you know, I just leave it like that, really long, so that I know I've got loads and loads to make my bow with. But I'm just going to now glue the ribbon, so I don't forget to do it for a second time. So I'm just going to glue the ribbon down onto the front cover. Again, just finding roughly, you know, hopefully the halfway point. And again, I'm just going to then glue down this fabric that has been stitched around. This is just the overflow from the front, you know, from the inside covers. So I'm just going to glue that down, and then it's all, you know, not flapping around at all. Not that it was flapping exactly, but you know what I mean. Right, so then I'm just going to again probably do this in 2 stages. So we do this half here, again just hopefully capturing it to the lace, to the velvet fabric, and also to the envelope as much as possible. So like that. Okie dokie. Okay, lots of glue, plenty, and then just stretch that round like that. And you see the stretching motion. I mean, it, you know, it really does straighten the fabric out, to be honest. I mean, it's a little bit more creased at the back because obviously once, you know, when you first start gluing, it's hard because it's not stuck down to anything. But I mean, round at the front, it's now really smoothing out quite nicely. And obviously, as we say, most of it will be covered up anyway, so it's fine. Right, so I just have the last little bit left to glue, so I'm just going to sort of weigh that down with my scissors, hold it out the way. And again, just go with my fabric glue, put a bit more under that ribbon, holding it closed, and then just along here, like that. Okay. I mean, you just really, you know, you're making sure that you've got it really nicely stuck down everywhere. So just more is more, really, I think. Okie dokie. So I struggled a little bit to decide what to do on this cover. So hence that this journal has been sat there now for a little while, you know, whilst deciding how to do the cover. Because as I say, I really had wanted to do it more, you know, more of the velvet, but I didn't have any more. So I've been, you know, when you keep on going back to a project and you still can't find the right thing, I've been a bit like that with this, unable to find quite the right thing to cover it with. Okay. At first, I thought I was going to use some of that red and black that I'd got in Happy Mail from, I think it was Kelsey who'd sent me that. The red and black that we used for some of my daughter's dolls' clothes. And I did have some left, but actually when I kind of held it against the journal, it just didn't really look right. So, yeah. Right, okay. So now what I'm going to do is just go round and trim up all around the edges. Now I probably should have done this now with my pinking shears, and in fact perhaps I should go and get them. Yeah, they're downstairs, so I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. I knew that they were downstairs because we'd had them for making the doll's clothes, so yeah, I knew exactly where they were, so it wasn't a big deal to nip down and get them, which was great and very rare that happens and you know exactly where you've left things. Well, I find anyway. I'm not trying to make sweeping statements about anybody else, because maybe you all do know where you've put things, but yeah, in my case it was just fortunate that I happened to know exactly where they were. Right, so that's kind of the front piece, and that's fine. And as I say, you know, because most of this is going to be covered up anyway. Right, let's get my zigzag scissors. So I mean, really, I'm not trying to zigzag the Hessian exactly. I've bought the zigzag scissors so that if I cut into that velvet, which I think I am, I don't have then straight bits mixed in with the zigzags. So it was more so that I could marry it up really, rather than the Hessian. Okie dokie, so that's that bit there. Get rid of that. The Hessian's so messy, isn't it? It really does kind of get everywhere, but it is really nice. I do really like the look of it. And it's surprising how versatile it is, because I mean, this journal I think is quite, oh, what's the word? I was going to say quite ornate, but I'm not sure really whether that's the right word, but quite decorative anyway. But still, the Hessian still looks quite good with it. Right, struggling to get to that back sort of section, so just pick it up. So I do apologise if this is now like all over the place, but obviously it's flopping around now, so it's not that easy to hold, to cut it and try and stay in frame. Right, okay. Okay, let me put the scissors down and get rid of that. I will keep this because of course I might be able to use that for something else. Right, let's get rid of these bits. What with the black velvet, you know, making those bobbles everywhere, what with that and the Hessian, it's one of those really messy journals. It won't be once it's all kind of put together, but you know, well, I mean, it is put together, but you know what I mean. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just whilst this is still looped, I'm just going to tie my bow in the side, which is obviously my closure, like that. There we go. And then all I'm going to do is, you know, cut my ends of my ribbon. And I mean, I like it quite long, so I'm just going to cut it sort of there. And that way you can make that, you know, a much bigger bow. If the journal gets very much more stuffed, you've got leeway with the ribbon. So that's, yeah, that's why I like to do that. Right, let me get rid of the ribbon now off my desk. Trying to keep it a bit more mess free because yeah, I realise it must be a bit chaotic seeing all my rubbish everywhere. Right, okay, let's see what else I've got then that we're going to layer up to decorate the journal. So I'm just rummaging on the floor now to bring in the things that I've brought along. Okay, so I've got some of my daughter's old skirt, which as you can see, I mean, it's really pretty. It's got this lovely delicate sort of edge. So I did wonder about that. The only thing is you know, it's pretty white, to be honest. I should have probably coffee dyed it first, and then it probably would have been much better. I've also got some more of that bridal lace, which I love using this, and I have used this lots of times. This is a slightly different one. I've got two different types. So if I just cut around here, just so as I just get a little, you know, a little area from it, like that. Okay. So I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope you're all having a, you know, nice time doing some crafting. I have been, you know, looking through kind of people's requested videos, you know, from the giveaway, and covers, you know, so that seemed quite a common theme. So, and, you know, I mean, covers are also something which, I mean, I've said this before, I often leave my covers till last, and not always, I mean, that's not a rule, but I often do, because I also don't really know, you know, where I'm going with a cover. So, yeah, I thought rather than do this cover off camera, I thought it would be nice to obviously come on and share the process with you guys, because, you know, of course I too struggle with covers. So, okay. And I mean, I just think they're a case of like playing around. And I mean, again, you know, not every journal warrants the same style of cover. So, you know, you might have one journal that you want a really fussy cover. You might have a journal that you want really quite plain and, you know, very, what's the word? Well, just more plain and sort of not masculine looking, but, you know, toned down appearance. You know, it really depends on kind of what's going on, I suppose, inside the journal. I think that's probably why I often do them last, because I think what's in there often guides me to how the cover's going to be. But equally, you know, I have done journals where I've done the cover first, and then I guess the cover, you know, determines how the journal's going to be, you know, or the direction for the journal. So I think either works, and again, it's just a case of finding what works for you, and also what works for you on that day, because just because one formula worked on one occasion doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be that way. Now, also whilst I was downstairs, you know, getting my scissors, I stumbled across this, which again, we'd pulled this out. I think this was some trim from, I think, an old top of my mum's, and we'd pulled this out obviously to use for the doll's clothes. But this just happened to be then stuffed into the drawer, you know, with the scissors and things. And I thought, oh, perhaps I could use that. It was a much longer piece, but I mean, obviously I don't want to be smothering it in this, but I just thought, oh, perhaps this might work somewhere on this. So I've just cut around this quickly. As soon as I picked it up, I just cut around it a bit with the pinking shears. And, you know, we may or may not use it, but I just thought it might work okay. And also, I have this, which, yeah, this was literally laying around on my floor. Well, not on my floor exactly, but, you know, in my piles of stuff, technically on my floor, but no longer a floor really, under my desk. And again, it just kind of made its way out. And sometimes things do that, don't they, when you're just making a project that they would go with. And I thought, oh, well, perhaps that's, you know, something telling me that I need to use this on this journal. So I have got this. It's that sort of feather boa type stuff, you know, like a pipe cleaner wire type thing inside it. So I may or may not be able to use that. I don't know. I mean, certainly I think the feathers go really nicely with the style inside the journal. But yeah, it just depends whether I can bring it together looking kind of fine. Right, and I also have this gorgeous trim that this, I think, again, was sent to me by Kelsey. So thank you so much, Kelsey. And I thought this would be lovely. I love the dangles here. So I'm going to just, I think, cut a little section from here, which I would just trim like that. I don't know whether I want the whole, you know, the whole piece here, or whether I probably just want the trim. So I'll just trim that down here. Okay. There we go. So yeah, I probably just want the trim. I mean, actually, to be honest, it's really nice. I think it's going to look nice in lots of places. So I've got that. And then, of course, I've got the lace that I have been using already, you know, throughout the journal. Oh, gosh, what else have I got? I've got the thicker crochet lace, which that might be kind of nice to do, like, as a bit of a base coat. Maybe just, like, on the edge or something like that. I'm not sure. So let's have a look and sort of start just layering some bits up and see where, you know, where we're heading. I mean, even that's quite nice, isn't it? And I mean, they're just like plonked there, aren't they, really? I mean, we've not really paid any attention to where we've put any of those bits, but already it's taking shape and looking quite nice. So I'm feeling I need more black here. Now I also have this from Kelsey, which again, I wondered whether I could have a strip of that. Let me just cut this down. I wonder if I need to pinking shear this, because it's that sheer fabric, you know, it may be prone to, you know, fraying a lot. So let's just pink that down. Like that. Oops, come on. Oh gosh, come on. Okay, right. Put that on the floor because I won't be using any more of that, I don't think. So we've got this. Yeah, I definitely need some black going on here. So let's have a look and see what else I've got. I've got some other black lace, and now can I find it? No. Oh, come on. You know, some other black lace that I had actually been using in this journal. So I know it's laying around here somewhere. Ah, here it is. Okay. So this is a really big sort of piece of lace, but I just, let me move this again now. Just wonder whether we could just, you know, layer it a bit like that. I mean, that's now looking a little bit gothic for my liking. Yeah, that's maybe a bit too black. I mean, obviously it's a bit brightened up with the gold. And I've also got this flower trim, which again, I mean, I bought this, but I've tended to use it in the main black side down, if you see what I mean. In fact, I'm wondering whether I've ever used it gold side up. I can't really remember. Again, I can't remember. Yeah, so now I'm not sure, because that's maybe, you know, it's making it very bleak looking. Which, you know, that wasn't really what I was after. What about if we have like a sort of centre strip of the Hessian? Now I've got obviously some leftover bits and pieces from the journal, so let me just see what I've got left. Just whether I've got anything that I could put on the cover. So hold on. Oops. Oh, I've actually got more stuff left than I realised. Okay. That's quite nice there, actually. I've also got her. No, I think I like this. Well, that's quite nice. I do quite like that. Right, now let's just have a play with this feather, because I'm thinking if I cut this down, I'm going to cut this over my bin because it's going to be messy, obviously. You know, feathers kind of getting everywhere, I'm sure. Okay. Oops, they're still flying around everywhere, but because I'm thinking, could we have this maybe even up here with a flower in the middle? That's where my mind's going at the moment. So do you know what? I'm going to get gluing a couple of things down because, you know, I do just find that really helps once I'm sort of committed, because I've got then a bit of direction. All the time that everything's loose, it's, you know, tricky to know exactly where you're going, I think. So I'm just gluing this down with the hot glue because that's nice and quick and it will just grab it, you know, straight away. So press that down. Okay. Right, let me just cut that piece off. Okay. Now I do like this one. Let me check I've got it the right way up. Oh, I know I'm always saying this, but honestly, you just can't really see once you're you know, once you're filming and you've got the lights on, the lights are just, you know, blocking out your vision, so you can't really gauge whether it is, you know, front or back. Right, so I'm going to glue that down now. Probably the right thing to do is probably try and do, you know, glue down the sort of more solid parts of the lace. I've seen, I think it's Creative Cafe girl do this, and she's obviously got loads of patience, Susie from Creative Cafe girl, because I've seen her do this and she just is really good at sort of picking out the solid bits of the lace. I have to say I'm not so patient, and so, you know, I'm probably just missing half of it completely, and I just don't know whether I'm ever getting quite enough on there, but anyway, hopefully. So we just flip that over. I'm just going to glue that down like that. I don't know, I mean, you guys probably all watch Susie from Creative Cafe Girl. She does lovely projects, really pretty things, very inspirational, her work. I know I've talked about her before, but yeah, she just does lovely stuff, I think. Right, okay, cut that there. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to hold fire on this for the moment because I'm not 100% certain. I did really quite like this other piece of lace, you know, coming round the back. So let me just pull that sort of edge piece off again. Yeah, I like how that looks coming round there with just a gap here, because then it's just nice. Now, what I'm wondering, this is obviously a banner piece. I'm just a little bit concerned that those banners will get, you know, damaged being on the front cover. So I'm going to cut them off because I think otherwise they're likely to get caught being the, you know, the front cover. So I'm going to cut them off like that. So yeah, that's sort of better, I think. Now, I kind of feel like we do need, yeah, some things to brighten it up a bit. I mean, I don't want it bright exactly, but, you know, just a little bit. Oh, I forgot that I've actually got these extras here. So we could have it like that. I've got these tassely type pieces, which are really kind of nice there, aren't they? Oops. Now, do we want to actually layer that on a piece of lace? Maybe. Let's just try that now. Oops. Oh, yeah. Right, so I'm going to, I think, glue this down. And actually, I think I have in the past coffee dyed this fabric, and it coffee dyes really well. Again, I'm sort of wishing that I had coffee dyed this because it would have looked really good, I think. But yeah, it obviously just didn't really occur to me to do that. So, oh gosh, now I've lost my piece. Just want to make sure that I'm putting it roughly, you know, the right place. Okay. Like that. So then, yeah, I'm going to now glue this onto here. So just move that stuff out of the way. So I'll just take this and glue this. Let's go to this end and just check I'm the right way up. Yep. Okay. Could rough this up a little bit. I always really like things when they're a bit more textural rather than really flat. So just rough that up a little bit. Okay. And as you can see, I mean, I've torn that there, but I mean, that's really fine. I mean, actually, I think it's nice with sort of extra texture. So I'm just going to ink around everywhere. Only because, I mean, obviously this has been coffee dyed, but this roughing of the edges, it just, you know, brings the edges to a sort of white look again. So it's just good to go around them with the ink. Okay, so I'm going to stick that just onto there and then I will cut it down. So, okay. Like that. Oh, sorry, my glue's now falling down. Okay. Right, now I'm just going to trim around this. And I might trim this up a little bit more in a minute, but just as a starting point. Okay. Oops, come on. Okay, right. So that piece is done. Pop that then over here. So in that case, I'm going to just move this down slightly. Now I'm just checking that I don't want to actually have this hanging off at the bottom. I do quite like it hanging off at the bottom. I'm wondering whether it would be, again, a little bit vulnerable to getting knocked. So, you know, pulled off, those tassels getting pulled off. So it might be better at the top. Let me just see how I'm going to have this, whether I want this here or this tucked over. Actually, I think probably tucked over. So what I'm going to do now is glue this one down. Okay. Okie dokie. Right. And I'm gluing this one down so that I can have it, you know, tucked under here. Like that. Okay. Right. Then I'm going to take this now and we're going to just glue this on. So at this point, you know, up to you really, kind of, you know, hot glue or the Fabri-Tac, either would work pretty well. I'll probably just Fabri-Tac it actually. Okay. There we go. Right. And then just along, oops, just along the bottom. And then obviously some more in the middle. Hopefully that's captured everywhere, more or less. Okay, pop that down like that. And again, I'll just press that down with my dried wipe. Sorry, lots of inking going on already today, can you tell? Okay. So this little torn bit, I will actually glue this down because it's on the cover, but you know, just because I don't, again, I don't want it sort of peeling up and getting knocked. So there we go. Right, and then I'm going to just take this lace trim and we're going to lay it down here. So again, actually I think, oh well, okay, I'll try and do the, you know, glue in the thick parts again. So, or you know, the filled in parts of the lace again. Again, who knows how successful I am at this, but oops. Oh, okay. Oh, come on. Oh, it's really grey day today. It's raining quite a lot. Well, it's not right now actually, but it has been raining a lot. And funnily enough, yeah, I think I said recently, you know, when I ask Alexa the weather, she just like her standard response is, lately anyway, you know, you can expect thunderstorms, and touch wood, every time she says it, it's just, there aren't any. I mean, it may just, we've been really lucky, but yeah, there aren't any. And I mean, to the point where the, you know, the boys are like, Mum, why do you bother asking Alexa? She just gets it wrong every time. But I asked her today, and for the first time I thought, oh, she might actually get it right, because thunderstorms, yep, I think we are in for a couple today. So she might actually, you know, actually get it right today. I'm just going to sort of dab this along here, I think. oh, I just can't be doing with that, trying to fill in the delicate parts of the fabric, or you know, the filled in parts of the fabric. That just, it's pretty fiddly and tedious, isn't it? Right. Okay. Right. So hopefully that's stuck down. So I'll just trim that off now at the side. And again, you know, I mean, I don't mind if this is overhanging a bit. I mean, I actually think that's quite nice. So I'm not going to go, you know, to too much trouble trying to get it level or anything. I think it's, you know, quite attractive when it's just overhanging slightly, if you can see that. So that's that. Now I've got obviously these tassels, which I'm going to add, I think, here. Now I did have obviously that gold. What did I do with that? What did I do with that? Where did I put that piece with the gold beads? I mean, honestly, how could I have just lost that in the space of like 3 minutes? Oh, here it is. Okay. So now I'm like, oh, do we have this on here or not? I mean, there's not really anything else in the journal that's gold. So I'm not, yeah, I'm not convinced now. I was definitely, you know, 100% going to use it. And now I'm not so sure. Let me stand up and look down on it. Oh, I don't know. I just don't know. Right, so I'm going to just sort of leave that there for a few minutes while I'm just debating. But what I'm going to do now, I think, is see if I've got any flowers that I can have with this feather, you know, kind of tucked around the flower, because that's what I think would look really nice kind of there. I've got those, but I mean, these are those ones again from my daughter's shoes. You can probably see there. So they're still in a clump of 2 flowers, which is probably a little bit weird. And I was just obviously being lazy because they were a bit of a nightmare to get them off of that, what was the strap across the front of the shoe. Yeah, that's like a little bit weird. A little bit weird. Right, let me just have a hunt and see if I've got any flowers. If not, oops, I'm just having a look. I have got this one, which is one that I have made, you know, previously. Again, I mean, I could have done with coffee dye and that. Let me just see whether I've got any others. Hold on. Right, I have rummaged through my flowers that I have kind of ready made, and actually I had these puffed yo-yos, and I've got this one, which, as you can see, I had made this before using some of that black feather boa type stuff. And to be fair, you know, I think that's actually not a bad, you know, match with the style of this journal. However, it is obviously quite large, so I'm aware that not everybody would obviously, you know, it might not be their cup of tea. So I think what I'm going to do is just clip that on so it's completely removable. And then, you know, whoever gets the journal, if they don't like it, they don't have to have it. This is the alternative flower, which, as you see, it's got no feathers on it at the moment. Obviously, I could attach some feathers and have that, but actually I think this maybe is a better, you know, sort of match anyway. So I think I'm going to go for that. The trim, still undecided whether to have it there. I did take that gold off after all, because although I was desperate to use it, I'm not quite sure, you know, that I was quite happy with it there. And to be honest, you know, if you don't like things when you first put them there, you're not going to like them sort of later. Well, you might do, I suppose, but yeah, I think probably it's better to just then assume that you're not really liking them. I've just got a little black flower, so I could incorporate that somewhere. I mean, it's probably a bit lost on there, if I'm truthful. You know, it's not really needed. Sorry about that, guys. My daughter just needed me to do something for her. So, right. So I have one of my little postage stamps as well. Can't even remember what we were doing, to be honest, before I was waylaid again. So I'm just going to then pop a little hole in the corner. So this is just one of my vintage postage stamp charms. It's just backed onto chipboard. I have got a tutorial for making these. I mean, I would say that I would try and remember to link it at the end, but Oh, you know me, the likelihood of me remembering to do that is probably pretty unlikely. But yeah, if I don't and you do want to see it, please just nudge me and, you know, I can just link that afterwards. But yeah, I mean, they're super easy. So it's literally just onto some chipboard and, you know, glossy accented. But they look really pretty, don't they? So I've just got a whole bunch ready done. Sorry, I'm rummaging now for a black bulb pin, which isn't that typical. Normally they're there all the time in my little tin, and you know, I don't want a black one. Now I'm looking for a black one specifically, and all I can find is the bronze ones. There we go. There we go. And we'll just pin that on somewhere. We could even have that dangling off the flower, to be honest. Might be kind of cute. Oh, it might be a bit weird actually. So I'm going to just, I think, pop the trim down there or down here. I mean, I am just a bit worried about those bits getting, you know, knocked, but that's probably just ridiculous, isn't it, of me. You know, I'm just judging everybody by my clumsy standards, but there we go. We're just now, we'll just glue it down that bottom bit because it is really, you know, it is really pretty there, isn't it? Okay. Okie dokie. So pop that down there like that. Hopefully that's going to stick down. Now, obviously, the reason I say hopefully is because, you know, anywhere where this lace might be not glued down, this may not glue down, but I can always touch that up a little bit later. But I just suddenly spotted my little jar of these rosebuds. They're just, ooh, up above my desk. Oh, gorgeous. My daughter has been making this for her Barbie whilst we've been filming. So, yeah, she's obviously really pleased with herself. I have to say, I did say, where did you get that? And it was one of her baby dolls cardigans. And she's obviously just cut the arms off. And of course, what can I say? What can I say about that? As that's what she witnesses me doing. But yeah, very nice outfit, isn't it? And I see you've tied it round in the middle with some wire. Looks gorgeous, doesn't it? Very nice. Very nice. Right, let's just see whether we want any of these little rosebuds. So if I just move the flower for a moment, because I'm just going to have that, you know, bulldog clipped on there, as I say. Just get my bulb pin. Oh my gosh, now I can't open this. Okay. Actually, I wonder if we could just have the flower. Oh, that's quite sweet, isn't it? Just as a little sort of charm there. Or shall we have it? Perhaps we'll have it here. Oops. Don't know whether I've really gone through much of that fabric. Again, I can't really see because of where the lamp is. You know, it's just right in my eye line, so I can't really see very well. But anyway, hopefully that's okay. So I will probably glossy accent or Mod Podge this. I'm not sure which yet. But I will probably do one or the other. I might not bother with this unless I have it there, I guess. Oh, perhaps I'll have it there. So I'm just hot glue this one on. Like that. And then just put these away. And the other thing that I realised is I didn't do anything on the back. So I think what I will do on the back, whoops, it's got all those bits of fray from that black velvet. So what I'm going to do, I think, on the back is literally just take that thick sort of crochet lace and I'm just going to line up a sort of line of it there, like that. So I will just hot glue that down. Okay. So we just then pop that down like that. Okay, right, so we'll just trim that down and I will just then find a bulldog clip. Oh wow, she looks gorgeous now. I shall show everyone in a moment. Hold on. Let me quickly show them. So when I was rummaging for the flowers, obviously my daughter was then rummaging through and she said, oh, I love this one, Mum. So I said, well, you can have that. So she's now attached that to her Barbie's outfit. Isn't that lovely? Looks gorgeous. I love it. Very striking, that is, isn't it? With the bright pink against the white and the bright blue against the white. Right, so I love how that looks now. And I'm just going to, as I say, bulldog clip this on. Do I have a bulldog clip handy? And when I say handy, I just mean in my tin, but I do know exactly where they are. So just bear with me for 2 seconds while I get one from my box behind my desk. Oops. Okay. There we go. And then we just clip that on there. So then it's completely, you know, removable. If people didn't want that on there, they just don't have to have it. Because I mean, I realise it's pretty huge and maybe not everybody's cup of tea. So yeah, I love how that looks. So I hope that you liked that, and I get, you know, hope it gave you some ideas if you're doing a junk journal cover, you know, how to just incorporate fabric. It was obviously a completely no-sew, even though it was all fabric. We haven't stitched any pieces on there, and I think so. Sorry, I've got all those bits of feather sort of floating around on the desk now. Yeah, and as I say, I will probably just Mod Podge this, and then it's completely done. So I love how it looks, and I hope you guys like it. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks then. Bye.